let's have it. I'd like you to meet Tommy McGuire and his combo.
Hello, and welcome to the Stateside Madness podcast, the one and only podcast of the official Madness American fan service. I'm Lori, along with my co-host Polly, here to bring you news, reviews, and deep dives into the nutty sound of the British pop band Madness.
Hello, Stateside Madness, and welcome to another podcast. This is podcast 12 and a pretty special one for us today. We have a special guest who's going to be joining us soon, and that would be Nick Woodgate from currently the Jojo Man Band. And Lori, say hello to everybody.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk to Nick. This is going to be so cool.
So Nick was nice enough to send us along some a preview of the new album Who, and I've been listening to the tracks rather intently the last couple of weeks, and gotta say, overall really pleased with everything he's put down, and feel a little special getting a preview of that. So thanks so much, Nick, and we'll be talking to Nick in a second.
Okay, so before Nick gets to our studio and we have an opportunity to speak with him, let's do the communicator. All right, so as you guys know, we had our two-part episode on Suggs. We got some very positive feedback about that, but there was one response in particular on Twitter that I really liked. This is somebody named JY who responded, "I got tickets to Madness on Letterman and Conan in '99 for two friends and myself, and we got a good pre-show chuckle from Suggs by waving our then new and import only Three Pyramids Club CDs from the crowd." So I'm just picturing these guys in the audience waving Three Pyramids Club and getting a wave and a laugh from Suggs on that, because, you know, as we were saying, these albums weren't really readily available in the United States. So I think that's really awesome that they not only had the opportunity to see Madness in New York, but then also to be waving these and to get that kind of reaction. I thought that was so cool.
And that it would be.
Speaking of Madness in America, Donald has updated our StatesideMadness.com blog. He's got a really interesting article today about Madness in America. Well, I mean, all the articles are about Madness in America, but this is specifically based on the press that they were getting right around the time of the Keep Moving album. So I thought it was really interesting, really well written. Thank you, Donald, for all your work on the blog. But please, if you have an opportunity, drop by StatesideMadness.com. Check out the writing. It's really good. And finally, speaking of Stateside Madness, Monday, January 25th is our official 1-year anniversary. Stateside Madness came together first on Facebook on January 25th, 2020.
And look how far we've come. It's been an interesting and fun project the whole way. And thanks for everybody who tunes in, everybody who checks out everything we've got to offer. And, you know, we're hoping that there's a lot more to come. And just stay posted.
Boy, Polly, if you told me a year ago that I was going to be doing a podcast, I would have thought you were insane.
Yeah, same with me. I didn't really know what a podcast was at that point. And also didn't really know what shape Stateside Madness was going to take. So this has been pretty fortunate that we're doing a podcast and people seem to like it.
It really is the entire Stateside Madness project, the website, the Twitter, the Facebook. It really is very organic. And I think we're very fortunate in that Madness Information Service, MIS, and band management have kind of just let us do our own thing and let it evolve very naturally. And I'm grateful for that. And I'm very, very interested to see whether or not the band is going to tour America in 2021. And hopefully we'll have some really exciting exclusive content when those tour dates roll around.
All right, folks, so we are ready. And as we mentioned, Nick Woodgate is going to be our special guest this week. And he is here now. Nick, say hello to Stateside Madness.
Hi, folks. Hi, Stateside Madness. My name is Nick Woodgate. I am the brother of Woody, the drummer of Madness. Madness will probably hate me for being on this show because, like, Madness are a multi-millionaire, multi-million pound company, and they don't want some pipsqueak talking about them. But I'd like to talk about what I do in my music, and I also have a very interesting brother. Like my dad said back in the day that he's very pleased with how his son Woody's doing, but he's a bit worried about the old Nick Woodgate, because he seems to be going nowhere in his life. And that's been my kind of like, that's been my career, doing nothing.
Oh, no, you're a late bloomer. That's all. You came to it a little bit later, right?
That is really weird, because I am a late bloomer. It's really odd. I don't know how that I managed to sort of wheedle that one. I spent all my life wanting to be a musician, but I think my agoraphobia got in the way, because when you've got a band, you've got to travel, you've got to meet people. And I didn't really know I had agoraphobia until I was like about 40. I just knew I felt really terrible. So it really does disable you from kind of leading a full life. But I don't want to talk about all this depressing stuff like agoraphobia. Well, it's really ridiculous. I'm too much in a good mood. I want to talk about how excited I am, because I spent all last night, stayed up all last night writing a song, and it's absolutely incredible. And I've just given it to my drummer and guitarist, Tim Maple and Aki Yates, and I've done the bass and the organ, and I'm hoping next week they're going to lay down some drums, and then the song will be finished, ready for me to mix. So I'm really excited about that.
I can't wait to hear it. One of the things that I was wondering, and I know I'm kind of going a little bit out of order from what we were proposing, but where does your inspiration come from, Nick, when you're inspired to write these beautiful songs? How are you inspired?
Yeah, I think it's a lot down to Yvonne, my partner, because basically my life before Yvonne was doing okay. You have to be okay if you need a partner. You have to get your trip together before you find anyone. But it's been like a good dream. You know, take that kind of like analogy or whatever the word is. It's been like a really great dream for the last 21 years because I feel like there's music spouting out of my brain all the time. I feel like it's because I hook into my inner feelings, and a lot to do with it is feeling comfortable in myself. I have to dig down deep to write a song. I always do. And I always start off by feeling very excited about a song. And although I need to write about 10 songs before I get a good one, I'm always excited about a song, but I'll leave them after 2 days and sort of hover them across the trash bin. Yvonne is my inspiration. She really is.
Have any of your songs been written about Yvonne?
I've written loads of the songs. I've run out of names to call them. I've called them Yvonne song, Yvonne, I love you, Yvonne. You know, none of those have made it to being released. But I'll tell you what, another thing is really dark places, really, really dark places. I tell you what, this is this is the number one thing that inspires me. The void. The void. I just think about the void, and although I'm not Buddhist, I have a void in my head. It's a beautiful place to be, and I tune into that. And when I've tuned into that, the music just comes sprawling out. And I think having Yvonne there is that sort of like the good dream, along with the void. You have to dig deep to find a song, but they always come. I love songwriting.
And you mentioned the void, and you and I had been emailing, and that relates to your single Bananas, right? Wasn't that inspired by the void?
Yeah, I first called that Black Sun. Yeah, that is coming out not next week, but the week after. I don't know where we are in this podcast, but in a couple of weeks' time from now. Bananas. I changed the name to Bananas just because I saw this artwork that was up for sale and it had some bananas on it. I thought, oh, I'd like to call mine Bananas, but the actual song title was Black Sun. And it's like inside you've got a sun that's shining, but it's actually black. It's not a bad place to go. It's a really good place to go. It's like within everyone is a nothingness, a void, a nirvana. And it's also a shining sun. In the lyrics, I say, the black sun, it is shining. But obviously, it's like, it's so pure, this black void, that it is shining.
Would you be okay with me playing a little bit of this song for our listeners?
I'd love you to.
We hope that you will have a pleasant journey
that was actually, of all the ones that you sent me, that was the first one that just hit me over the head. You know,
that's really sweet of you. I listened to all your suggestions, not suggestions, but your pick. And I put them in an order on my playlist, and I was going, oh my God, Laurie's got great taste, because there was some ones that I was thinking, well, maybe I'm not sure about this, because I gave you a load of demos. But I'm quite pleased you picked the songs that you did pick, because they were really good.
Well, thank you. You know what I did is, I mean, I had listened to them in the order that you gave me, but then I put them all on shuffle, and I was just lying in my bed with my surround speakers and just doing a deep listen. But I intentionally had them all on shuffle when I did that, because I think that kind of
great, because you get a really weird order. Just as you're thinking something comes up that kind of you go, oh, it must have, something above must have known what I was thinking, because this really happens. This is really happening.
Speak a little, if you would, about your early years, childhood, where you grew up, what it was like, and you know, maybe your first interest in music. Give us a little background story.
Okay, Polly. Yeah, I came from a very musical family. My grandfather, Leslie, on my dad's side, was a conductor of a choral of the BBC chorus. And my other grandfather, on my mum's side, was also a conductor. But we have music going back. Somebody's done the family tree, and there's musicians here, there, and everywhere going back to Neanderthal times. Anyway, it was put on me, basically, not my brother so much, but everyone said that I'd be a great musician. I think it's because I was tinkering around on the violin when I first got one, and the piano at home. And everyone would say, oh, Nick will become a great musician. Well, it's a good burden to have on you, I don't think. Anyway, but so there was the music of having a piano in the house. And, well, basically, when my brother worked out how to make my electric guitar amplified through a cassette player that he rigged up to make it into an amplifier with a few dodgy wires, I started playing guitar, and shortly afterwards, my brother kind of fashioned together some cling film and some buckets and started hitting them. So I started playing guitar about 9 or 10. And I got my first electric guitar when I was 10. And I don't know about all this. I'm a multi-instrumentalist because I really studied the guitar really hard, because I find it a difficult instrument to master, but I have given it my all for the last 40 years or 50 years now. It's my brother sort of bought a kit really to play with me, and I started drumming first on his kit. He'll not remember this, but I learnt how to play a basic rhythm, you know, boof, boof, baff, boof, boof, baff. And I kind of said to my brother, it's quite simple. You just kind of keep one hand going and then you do it on the offbeat. And he was well away after that. So.
Who's older? Are you older?
No, I look older because I smoke, but my brother's 19, sorry, what is it? 19 months? No, that's not possible. Oh, I forgot. I'm 15 months older than me. And my sister is 15 months older than my brother. So we're all dead on 15 months apart.
Tell us about Steel Erection.
Oh,
How did that come about?
Yeah, I had this friend at school that I went to his house and he had some guitars, and it was just kind of like, I don't think we even mentioned let's get a band together. We just invited him round to our house with his guitar and amplifier. And we just started playing together. And then before we knew it, we'd added someone else in. And we played pubs at the age of 11. We played other schools at the age of 11, 12, 13. And I kind of outgrew it after a while. And I met this guitarist called Mike McAvoy. He was absolutely mind-blowing at that age. And I really wanted to join a band with him. So we kind of like, it's really terrible to say, but we kind of like stopped seeing the other guitarists in Steel Erection. And because I was so kind of like infatuated with playing with Mike, who went on to make an album with Ian Dury. He also is the MD for Steve Winwood every now and then, and he writes for films, Hollywood films, and he, myself, and my brother, and a singer, got a band together. I don't know what we were called, and then shortly after that, I was in a bit of a haze at this time. I really wasn't getting it together myself mentally. And I found myself with a keyboard player, a bass guitarist, a drummer, and a really fine guitarist. And we called ourselves Freefall, which is, what's it when you don't headline, you're the act underneath?
The opening act?
Yeah, we were the opening act for, North London Invaders, later to become Madness, were the opening act for us. And I remember going, it was William Ellis School, which is the school that Mark Bedford used to go to. We all knew each other from different schools, and I was at the sound check. I mean, you've got to remember, I was only about 14, and I saw this shadowy figure in the backstage area, and I thought, really got to be careful of him. And he was wearing a white pinstripe suit. And as in a pinstripe suit is black with white stripes, this was a white suit with black stripes, and it was Suggs. I didn't know up until then that was Suggs, but I knew it was Suggs. And Gary Dovey was on drums, and Mark Hasler was singing. It was Chrissy Boy and Mark Bedford and Mike Barson. And that is the gig that my brother saw them playing at, because he was there to see me. So that's a story and a half.
That's really cool. Was there any indication at the time that Madness or North London Invaders were going to be as successful as they became? Did you have any hunch?
When my brother finally kind of like was in the early band, me and Bruv took our pedal bikes up miles and miles to a Finchley rehearsal studio, which was a garage basically, and I saw them rehearse, and I was very struck with how organised they were, because mainly, if you're in a band, and I've been in so many in my life, there's a lot of confusion as to stop, this is wrong, try it again, and then nobody knows where to try it from. and there's a lot of confusion, and sometimes songs don't actually get worked out how they are. It's a matter of organisation. I don't think I really had those skills either. So seeing them, it was like the only thing that really dawned on me is that they were very organised, and with Suggs there was Mark and Mike Barson and Chrissy Boy, and Mike had bum fluff. I don't know what you call it in America, but it's like a baby beard. A little moustache, actually. He just had bum fluff, so we must have all been so young. And this is before they were Madness, and I remember I just started living with my mum, and my brother came in the house, and he said, guess what we decided to call the band? And he said, give it a go. So I sort of, well, I haven't got a clue. And he said, Madness. And I sort of went, yeah, that's good. And he said, yeah, that's what I thought. So I remember distinctly like the change from North London Invaders to Madness. And then Mike Barson came over the house along with, I think it was Chrissy Boy and Mark, and we had a piano. This is when I was, let me see now, maybe 15, and we had a piano in my mum's house as well. And Mike got on the piano, he was absolutely storming it. In fact, I've never heard him play so good. He was doing all these old Cockney pub tunes. And I was thinking, oh my God, that sounds really good. But to get back to your original question, did I think that Madness would kind of turn out to be so big? I hadn't a clue, but I did think they were very organised. That's
kind of interesting you say that about them being organized, because it's not an aspect of the band that they, I think, readily portray. Of course, they are known for the chaotic nuttiness, and I suppose being very organized, while fruitful, doesn't play that well into their image. So that's nice to hear.
Mark says they act like a German football team, very organised. And if you can imagine German engineering, it's very organised, isn't it?
So Nick, while we're on the early days, when Madness transitioned from North London Invaders, and they were starting to play gigs and starting to build a name for themselves, and paired with Specials and Two-Tone, did you or your crowd or group of friends have a sense that there was anything like a movement that became the ska revival?
Yeah, Polly. I was out of school by a year ago, so it was like I was just following what my brother told me they were up to. Like when they went on the Two-Tone tour, I was over at my dad's house, and he just said, I'm off on the Two-Tone tour. And it didn't really mean much to me, actually, to be honest. But I've since found out that kids that were in years below me, it was a phenomenon, the Two-Tone movement. And seeing Madness on Top of Pops for the first time absolutely gave everyone something to talk about in the playground. It didn't affect my life so much as like just hearing the Prince on national radio for the first time. I thought, this is strange, that's my brother, I can't believe that's not happening. And it just sort of snowballed to something that kept growing and growing and growing and growing just all the time. And I never really looked at it at the time and thought, oh wow, this is happening. It just happened.
Now, a little bit before that period in time, because Prince was what, like 79, right?
That's correct.
So you actually had written a song a couple of years prior to that called Open Up and Let Me In.
Yes,
And
1976.
I really enjoyed that song. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Uh, I don't know what the lyrics in portray, if that's the right word, but Open Up and Let Me In was a song I had written when on my own in 1976. And then when it came to 2002, my friend Mike McAvoy was living in America, and he said, why don't you come over and record a couple of your songs? So I took the plane and went to Nashville where he was living. And on the trip there, I was thinking, how the hell does this melody go again? I've since remembered how it should have gone, but I made a different melody up, but I obviously didn't have any lyrics to go with it because I'd forgotten the melody. And so I asked Mike if he'd write the lyrics. So the lyrics, I did all the basic lyrics like look through my window, open up and let me in. And then Mike kind of like filled up all the lyrics and we recorded it. And then flashback to, actually the release date is today. So I've released that on an album called Wow. Not much to say about it, except it does sound very retro. I can see that it's got a bit of Steve Miller. It's got a bit of Bob Marley, I Shot the Sheriff in the chords. And thank you for mentioning that. I love that song. It's really great.
Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to play a little bit of it for our listeners. So this is Open Up and Let Me In by the Jojo Man Band off of the album Wow.
Look through my window, I see a face beyond the pane. Look through my window, open up and let me in. Come into my life, let's be together for a while now. The sweetness in my life, open up and let me in. Open up and let me in. Open up and let me in.
Why the Jojo Man Band? What's the story behind that name?
I wrote a song called Jojo Man, and people have been asking me what's it about, and I haven't a single clue. It just came out. And when I was looking for a domain name for my website, I was looking for Jojo Man because I thought I'd call myself after one of my songs, as in Madness did. So I looked and it had been taken. So I thought, I'm a solo artist and I don't want to be known as Nick Woodgate anymore. Why don't I call myself a band name? So if I call myself the Jojo Man Band, it's going to be a domain name that's not taken. Just to let you know, I don't have any websites anymore because I can't afford to keep them. So that has gone down the drain, the jojomanband.com. But it was through getting a domain name, basically, that I decided on the name, the Jojo Man Band. And the Jojo Man song, which is on the greatest, the best of album, I really don't know what it's about. Haven't got a clue.
It's interesting to me. I mean, that is such a 21st century story for how you found a name for a band. You know, if you had said in the 70s or the 80s, if you'd said, oh, well, I was looking for a domain name that was available, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Absolutely, yeah.
But so your best of album, I saw on your website, you know, your little background story behind it and everything. And I thought That was so clever. The writing on your website is so very clever. And
I've added to it. I've added to it.
Have you?
Oh, well done.
Yes,
Love it.
yes. So I'm
So you
holding up.
wanted to know why I chose that cover?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the cover art. So I'm holding up right now the CD that Nick sent us, the best of the Jojo Man Band. And I want to know a little bit about the cover art because it's so unusual.
Well, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. The color of it is pink. No, it's pink, but it just so happened that I found this photo and I thought that just looks like a great photo for a funk cover. And they gave you the option to, they gave me a template of the picture and I could do what I like with it. So I gave the background pink and then I gave it to Mark Bedford, who does a lot of design work. And he got all the artwork together and really nicely put all the text all around the back. And he did me great favors. I tell you what, he did a really great thing for me. I said to him, is there any chance you can get me a logo? And I was naive. I thought that it was something to do with fonts and text. But he said, you actually need somebody to paint it and draw it. And that's not in his kind of domain of things to do. So he got me this guy and he was so reasonable, his prices. And I was so blown away because what I was trying to get with the Jojo Man Band logo is something like Steely Dan's Can't Buy a Thrill album, which is just amazing. The whole ethos behind the Jojo Man Band, I've been trying to portray this kind of like Steely Dan kind of, I know I'm not sucking up to you lovely Americans, but I did want to make this sort of like kind of something out of a Steely Dan comic book, the whole concept. And I was trying to release songs that sounded a bit Steely Dan, kind of like comic book, sort of American, because I just really got into that idea and I thought it was a really cool idea. So the logo really set me up for kind of carrying on that idea in my music.
Well, I have worked as a professional graphic designer, so I really kind of got lost in this. And then to hear you say that Mark Bedford is the one that designed the cover, that's really, really cool. I'd like to play, if it's okay with you, one of the tracks off of this album. I'd like to play Ghostface Killer, if that's okay.
Brilliant.
All right, let's listen to it.
Ghostface killer, running wild. Ghostface killer, your time is on. Night has come, and you know the end is on. Night has come. Better pack your games up. Ghostface killer.
Go for it, Polly. What do you want to say?
No, I loved the looming surf guitar stylings on that. I think it really made it have this elemental atmospheric sound to it that I just really, really take. And so I of many of the tracks on the best of, that's right up there as one of my favorites. And in a little bit, I'm super gonna fanboy out about my favorite track, but I love Ghostface Killer.
Oh, great. That's great.
Well, why don't keep us in suspense, Polly? What is your favorite track? Because Ghostface Killer was
So,
mine.
So I guess I would say that She is my favorite track. And where you were speaking of Steely Dan, I did see a lot of elements, across the best of that. I really actually, that was one of the first things popped into my head was Steely Dan. But I happen to be a huge Jeff Lynne and ELO fan.
Yeah, when I was doing the demo for She, which is the cover version of a Charles Aznavour original, I took Jeff Lynne's version and followed meticulously all his chord changes, because I thought that any other version is too flamboyant and it'd be hard to follow. And I knew that Jeff Lynne had a click track, so I could keep it, I could kind of put it in my project and copy. I could play my piano. I did eventually give it to Tim and Aki to really make sound good, but my demo, I was quite proud that I pulled it off because the vocals are really ripped off the version by Jeff Lynne, which the only difference really being is that Tim and Aki improvised a lot, and also, oh shit, what was I going to say? Oh, excuse me. I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, over to you, Polly.
So when I heard She, I instinctively went to one of Jeff Lynne's more recent songs, When I Was a Boy, and I played them back to back. And it's a fantastic song. It's great to see him doing such good work recently. But boy, those two songs could be as sweet together. They're just pair so perfectly.
I love Jeff Lynne's version of She. I sped it up. Oh, that's what I was getting stuck tongue-tied over. I sped it up. And I was just telling Yvonne, actually, before I came to speak to you, I think I've been getting a good reaction from people on Twitter when it's played on the radio, because they kindly said it's the best version they've ever heard. And, well, I'm humbled, but I think the reason that it sounds okay, what it was about the meter of the singing and the lyrics. In order for me to get the harmonies right, I had to sing it faster so that to stop it being expressive, like she will be do. That's how kind of like all the other versions used to go. I wanted it to be really dead on in time so that I could get the backing vocals to be, this is not very interesting.
No, I love it. Keep going.
Oh, anyway, so I kept it, I sped it up a bit, and I think that is the good thing that's going for it. I mean, any version is really good. I chose it because of the chord progression. I really like the chord progression, and the melody line on the top is kind of like complements it so gorgeously.
She may be the face I can't forget, a trace of pleasure or regret, maybe a treasure or a price I have to pay. She may be the song that summer sings, maybe the chill that autumn brings, maybe 100 different things within the measure of a day. She may be the beauty or the beast, maybe the famine or the feast, may turn each day into a heaven or a hell. She may be the mirror of my dream, a smile reflected in a stream. She may not be what she may seem inside a shell. She who always seems so happy, the clownless eyes are private and so brown, no one's allowed to see them when they cry. She may be the love that cannot hope to last, may come to me from shadows of the past that I'll remember till the day I die. Fear may be the reason I survive.
So on the subject of your songwriting, and again, you know, because most of our listeners being Madness fans, so you've co-written a number of songs with Madness. I know Polly's favorite, Kitchen Floor, is one of them.
Oh, yeah. I remember them. I remember Polly saying, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a fun song. What was your favorite song that you co-wrote for Madness?
Good Times.
Okay. And
it's because I liked it when I wrote it, and when I gave it to my brother to see what he could do with it, I was confident that it was a good song. Generally speaking, I just used to give him hundreds of songs a year, and I didn't know whether or not they were any good, but I was really 100% sure that Good Times, or whatever it was called, yeah, it was Good Times, I was really 100% sure that it was a good song, and so I was pleased to see it come to fruition at the end.
Life today is understated. I don't need no complicated. Try living on the bottom rung. You will find it's not so fun. Where did all the good times go? Where did all the good times go? I spent my days just wasting money, and now it's gone. It seems so funny. Here today and gone tomorrow. Why be poor when you can borrow?
what is that like for you as a songwriter to have this baby of yours, this song that you've written, and then to see this band performing it or to hear it on their album? I mean, what's that experience like?
It was really nice because I went to a really big arena to watch Madness play, and Suggs, in a really nice voice, said, "This one's for Nick Woodgate," and they played Leon. And afterwards, Mike said, "How do you like your call out?" And I said it was wonderful, because I was really floored, because I was standing there hanging on to the balcony for dear life. And when they said that, I was so excited. I sat down, and everyone was on their feet, but there was stupid me sitting down. I had to sit down because I was so chuffed. It's really nice.
That's cool.
No, it is a real big thrill, Laurie. Real big thrill. Oh yeah, my song. What's it called now? Which one was it? Oh, Another Version of Me was played on Radio 2 at 7 o'clock in the morning. So prime time breakfast listening on Chris Evans' show, and he's Big Cheese over here, or used to be. And I woke up with the alarm, and I was listening to it, and I was going, that's a nice song. And I thought, oh my God, it's me. I wrote that. Well, it's madness.
That's got to be so cool, though, you know, to have this thing that you created and then see what other artists are doing with it.
I'll be honest with you, I get so much satisfaction out of writing songs that I'm blessed, really, because at the moment with the Jojo Man Band, I've had so much radio play that I feel like I've done everything that needs to be done. I'm so satisfied. I don't need millions of streams on Spotify. It's just in the making of the music, and to get nice kind comments every now and then. It just seems to be so lovely.
I've got a house, I've got a key, I've I've got another version of me. I've got a dog, I've got a cat, I've got my coat, I'll get my hat. Ooh, the sun comes up in your face. Another version of me.
Seems like a good place for us to segue into your new album, Wow, which I've been listening to quite a bit. I know I emailed you some of my favorite tracks. I think my absolute favorite track on the album was probably Bonnie. And you told me there's a story behind that. So who is Bonnie?
I've got to say, first of all, that was a demo.
Okay.
Bonnie,
Okay.
that was a demo. I have no plans in recording that properly, but that song is a really, it actually made Yvonne cry when I first played it to her, because it's about her dog, who I never really got to meet. And I Love You More Than You Will Ever Know is part of the lyrics. And I felt like Bonnie was such a good dog and lived such a happy life, because Yvonne would take her for 2 walks a day and take her into big parks, and she would just be let off the leash and run into the woods and would be gone for ages, and all they'd have to do was just go, Bonnie, and she'd be back. And all these stories that Yvonne's telling me about Bonnie, and I'm just thinking, God, she was such a lovely dog. Mm-hmm. I thought I was writing about Yvonne as well at the same time, kind of parallel writing, but it was sparked off by Bonnie the dog.
And when you told me that, I was so surprised, because it's a beautiful love song. I never would have guessed it was about a dog, but that really seems to be one of your strengths, I think, is writing just these really sweet love songs.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of my favorite ones were love songs. I'm not usually so sappy. Is it okay? Since you mentioned Bonnie as a demo, is it okay if I play a little bit of it or no? Do you not want me to play
please
it?
do, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Pick a nice emotional part of it.
Okay.
Sleep, Bonnie Boo. I love you more than you will ever know. Sleep, Bonnie Boo. I love you more than you will ever know. Joy is what you give me when you're with me. You blow my mind. Oh, can't get higher. You're my desire, the simple kind. Sleep, Bonnie Boo. I love you more than you will ever know. Sleep, Bonnie.
I'll tell you straight away, Wow is released today. Next week is an album called Remixes. Then the week after that is a single called Bananas. Then, not the week after, but the week after that, I'm releasing a song called She's Got It, which I may not have sent to you. And I'm working on this song that hopefully is properly recorded next week. And it is gonna be the greatest thing I've ever done. And that's called, what the hell is it called? Oh, I can't remember. Well, I've got the power. I can call it President Trump.
Please don't. Please don't.
It could be about flowers, and I'll call it President Trump.
All right, so we're going to now go to some questions that our Stateside Madness members on Facebook have been asking. And actually, one of the questions was from you, Polly. Do you want to start with your question?
I do, because while it would be nice to have questions asked of the fans on Stateside Madness, I'm far too greedy. So, Nick,
yes.
talk a little bit, if you would. My question for you, my question is, what acts influenced you, and were they the Kinks?
Well, yeah, I've got a really weird story about this. When I was growing up, my father's girlfriend at the time bought 2 albums. One was a Kinks album, the other was a Jimi Hendrix album. And I don't expect to be backed up by my brother on this because we have differing memories, but I remember we never looked at the Kinks record because we played the Jimi Hendrix record and it was so mind-blowing. We left the Kinks record to gather dust. And I'll be honest with you, it's only in the last year that I am thinking that the Kinks are genius. Ray Davies, the Kinks brothers are just genius. They've done so many brilliant songs. But I hadn't heard hardly any of them apart from the massive hits up until this year. So maybe we missed out on our education in the Kinks, but maybe we saw the light with Jimi Hendrix.
Well, you can't go wrong with either of them, really. So good on you for getting into Hendrix.
Okay, so Mary S. from Stateside Madness wants to know, when you were growing up, who was your parents' favorite?
Yeah, I was shown this question and I'm really like, wow, what's going on? I mean, my mum and dad, although they didn't live together and we kind of like went from one to the other, it was like, I'm pretty 100% that they both loved us equally. I know I shouldn't have to even say it, but as it goes, they never. I think they just loved us both equally, and it's like I love my mum, but I've got my girlfriend, and it's a different sort of love. They loved us equally. We were different characters, but they loved us equally.
What have you done today? Feeling fine. What have you done today? You're on my mind. All I want is somebody to call my very own. I don't care about the money. I won't be all alone. She's the one. She's the one. All I have to do today is make her happy anyway. What have you done today? Feeling fine. What have you done today? Just take your time. All I want is somebody to call my very own. I don't think that it's funny. You are all I know. She's the one.
All right, the next question is from Steve P. And you kind of touched on this, I think. Are there any plans to continue with more songs from the Jojo Man Band? I'm loving what I've heard so far.
Well, that's
So-
very kind of you. Very kind of you. I must say, it always puts the mockers on stuff when you say, "Oh, I'll be recording for the rest of my life." But I've got so much material that I've chosen to release them all week after week because I keep writing them just for my own sanity, to keep writing songs, and then I've got to put them out there because I think they're good enough to put out there. So it just carries on going. There might be a possibility that I might end up writing with my brother again. That's kind of like stopped because he sort of got a bit too busy to kind of do 2 things at once. But and then who else do I play with? Magic Brothers? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
Well, so where can our listeners find the new releases as they're coming out if they want to listen to your music?
Well, I'll tell you what, if everyone that's listening just checks out the Jojo Man Band on Spotify, then job done. Because if I tell you that it's in this streaming service, this download service, everyone's going to kind of like get a bit lost. So I really would love everyone to go to my Spotify profile, which I have an artist blue tick, so I'm the only one, the only Jojo Man Band, and listen to my songs on repeat forevermore.
And I will share with our listeners as well, maybe the direct link to your Spotify so that they can easily find you. But yes, the Jojo Man Band.
I've got my music spread out so many different places. They do say they people. They do say that just give people one link because if people see too many links, they ignore you.
What's your favorite song on your most recent release and why? So I guess that would be Wow.
No, Dr. No remix.
Oh, and that's the one. So this is on your remixes album that's coming out.
That's correct, and it's out next Friday. So when you hear your podcast, if you get in early, it's the following Friday.
Friday, January 29th.
Yeah, 29th. That rings a big bell. Yes.
Okay. All right. And I think you're going to be playing that song for us at the end of this podcast too. So we'll get to listen to the song in a few minutes. But why is it your favorite?
Well, it's opened a lot of doors for me in the world of radio. I got played on this really, really big radio station called Amazing Radio. They just branched out to have a separate radio station in the US called Amazing Radio USA. And what they do, they ask unsigned acts or people under the radar just to send in their tracks. But they have got an amazing catalogue of great songs that are being played, and they're all new acts. And basically over here it's like being played on Radio 1, which Radio 1 has always been, BBC Radio 1 has always been kind of like the place that you make it if you're kind of like heard about a lot on Radio 1. But Amazing Radio is sort of like for people that are just up and coming new bands. And I was so chuffed at that. I really was chuffed. I've got to mention, I've been helped a lot by people like a guy called Neil March from Exile FM. He's given me so much advice as to how to kind of like the many things you have to do as an independent artist. Because when I was with the Magic Brothers, or Woody and I's band, me and Woody's band, he had PR, he had CDs coming out of his ear holes, he had gigs to book, and it was all very professional, but I had to do it all myself. And Neil March has given me so much advice, and it was only just today that I read a big blog that he'd written about promoting yourself, and I just felt so calm inside because I've done everything that you need to do. And basically the answer is I'm so small fry, but I create music and I'm so happy just to do that.
Well, let me ask you a question that was not on any of our lists. So I'm going to really put you on the spot here. Who is your absolute dream collaboration? If you could pick anybody in the world that you have not collaborated with, who would you choose?
yes, without a shadow of a doubt, my all-time hero, and it will be very unpopular, is Paul McCartney. I absolutely think that guy is an absolute living genius. It is unpopular because, unfortunately, time has done nothing but kind of tarnish the name of great people like Arthur Paul. But I can't see that he's done anything wrong. He's just comes across a really nice person. He makes the most beautiful music. And I think in the Beatles, which is my favourite band, unfortunately, he wrote the best songs. And people can't really get their head around that because they're so kind of like obsessed with John Lennon. But I think for me, it's always been Paul McCartney who's written the best songs. But that'll be very unpopular.
If I could add something there, in listening to Make Her Happy, immediately, as soon as the chorus kicks in, I just said, that is a Paul McCartney chorus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could, it was unmistakable. It jumps right out at you.
That was a really good song too. I think I listened to that one 3 or 4 times in a row.
Oh, thank you, Laurie. Yeah, it's like you can't help but want to sound like Paul McCartney. You know, it's a bit like Madness trying to emulate ska and not quite getting it right. I mean, I don't think my Make Her Happy song has really pulled it off, but I think the running bass line in the chorus is what I was after, that Paul McCartney inventiveness with the bass. As a kid, I used to just listen to Sgt. Pepper's and just listen only to the bass. I seem to be drawn by listening to bass in music. And I was actually, my mind was blown because I was thinking, why is he going there? What's he doing? And it's a constant amazement of his musicianship. It's just so natural and inventive.
And Laurie, I've got a little something to add in for when we do play Dr. No, which is that last week we had Sylvain of the New York Dolls pass away, which I was very sad about. But in listening to Dr. No, you did something very interesting with the stereo. You had the rhythm guitar in my left ear, and I believe the lead guitar was on the other side. And the rhythm guitar played as a counter to the lead guitar rather than I would guess like a support. And it made me thinking of Sylvain because he and Johnny Thunder, that's when Sylvain was doing rhythm guitar, would often do that, play as a counter rather than a support. It made me a little nostalgic. I really liked it, really loved the instrumentation on the song. And I just thought I'd want to put that out there.
Well, that's very cool. Tim plays the guitars, but I think he panned them left and right. When he sent me the stems, I couldn't really do anything about it unless I put it in mono, which would have made it really loud and put it back in the mix. So I just left it that way because it sounded good. No, I love. I think I had one guitar, but I think Tim added the counter play between the two guitars on each ear roll.
We always end our episode with a song, right? We play the episode out, and Nick has asked to choose the song this episode. We've been talking about Dr. No. So, Nick, do you want to introduce this song as we end the episode?
Thank you, Laurie. This song is called Dr. No by the Jojo Man Band, aka Nick Woodgate. And it is about the wonderful void that you feel within you.
Nick Woodgate, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. You have some really, really cool stories. Thank you for sharing your music with us and our listeners. And I hope we'll have you back soon, because I know you have a lot more tales to tell. And on that note, thank you very much for listening, Stateside Madness. Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Go get a beer, Stateside Madness.